it's unusual to see you in a role where you're not the one who's taking the beautiful woman away. Was that one reason why you decided to take on the role?
Well, I read the script, and my agent asked me, said, which character do you like here? I said, well, they're both terrific characters. I said, probably the husband is the more interesting because he changes. You know, you see him starting in one place and end up in a very, very different place. And that's always great fun for an actor, to track a character who goes through changes. I don't think it's questioning monogamy. I think it's questioning vows. Unfaithful is the issue. And whatever your faith is, religious faith or otherwise, you know, you have a certain set of expectations that go along with that. I think it's more about lying, the betrayal of lying, of not having been told the truth, than the physical betrayal is the issue here. It's, frankly, it's these two characters who had no idea that there were dark areas inside of them, this dark, that made them capable of these actions. Now, obviously, on another level, the film is dealing with cause and effect, is that every action has its effect, and people have to be responsible for that. We are responsible. In the present moment, we are the outcome of our previous actions and our previous thoughts. So that's the way the universe is. Now, it doesn't do it with great passion, it's just a fact. So there's another level of the film, which is this existential story of the wind was blowing. It happened because the wind was blowing. Sure, we all feel angry, and we all also have, most adults anyhow, have developed a muscle around anger that if it gets too big, it shuts it down. Very few of us go as big as this character does in the movie. But anger seems to generate spontaneously with all of us. There is a point, my belief is, because I've seen it in certain beings, where it's impossible for anger to arise because there's no ground for it. There's no support. And I think that it's something that can be removed from the mind, removed as a possibility even. Anger, hatred, all these negative emotions, basic ignorance can be removed and no longer prey upon us. But until then, we have to know what these forces are. Because if we don't know them and make friends with them on some basis, they can have a lot of control over us, which happens to these characters. I think they're much closer at the end of the film than they were in the beginning. I think they're much more knowledgeable about themselves, therefore the other. We know other people based on what we know about ourselves, right? We can't know someone else's hunger until we have felt hunger ourselves. We don't know cold that someone else is feeling until we know what cold is. And by the same token, if I can't understand someone else's anger unless I have felt anger. I can't understand someone's desire unless I have felt desire also. So really, self-knowledge leads to knowledge of the other. I would guess so, but then that's part of the vows you make. I mean, these guys make vows that aren't based on that. They're based on a traditional marriage. Now, obviously, they made vows not even knowing what the vows would mean because they don't know themselves enough to know what it means. How can you say you will not do something unless you know you have an impulse to do it? And they wouldn't even acknowledge that the impulse that strong was there for either of them, to be that so desirous that they would be out of control, so angry that they would be out of control. But the nature of both of these impulses on them are almost cosmic. There was a line in the very first draft of the script, and Olivier's character said to my character, he said, "There's nothing in the universe that could have kept her from coming to me." And that's an existential statement there. That wasn't about his own personal attraction. It was about the wind was blowing and there's nothing you can do about it. Maybe I take things less personally. You know, when you see a child behave, it's very easy to not be upset when a child does something naughty or bad. You don't take it personally because you say, oh, it's just a kid. You can also have that attitude somewhat with adults, which is to say they don't know any better, not take it personally. And that immediately takes a lot of the anger, the tension, the possibility of cycles of violence that go back and forth. they become removed immediately when you don't personalize.